Is this your first time using virtual reality?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And what did you think about it in a law enforcement training scenario?
It's real interesting, and it kind of puts you in the middle of the picture. The systems that we use are 2D, so it's on a flat screen, to where as though what I just experienced there, I could actually look and see the officers. I could see people moving better, depth, and everything else. And I think you can have a more natural reaction.
Do you see where integrating technology like this in present-day scenarios, whether it be domestic disturbance, traffic stop, could be really beneficial for younger officers that are learning on the job?
Yes. Being as though I work for the Department of the Army, we have a lot of young soldiers who are just coming out of boot camp. They really haven't experienced a lot of things. So in the Army, we do get domestics, and a tool like this would put them in the middle of the scenario and actually have them respond in a different light, because with the things that are moving around you, with the equipment that we have now, there's nothing moving around you, so you don't have that same interaction. So with this, me being in there, I felt more in the scenario, or it was more realistic to me.
How when you think about being able to scale this and put it in a department, how many officers, for example, is at your department?
We got approximately 40 officers.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the benefits of using a system like this is I think it's more cost effective for a small department, and able to provide, like, maybe even at the precinct level, training opportunities.
Right.
And going back to the main department offices and on a cycle, maybe training once a year, things like that.
Right.
Do you see where that more frequency of training would be beneficial?
I think that would be beneficial for any agency. We train all the time. So we have FTOs in our department, and the FTOs can take people down and use the equipment at any time. Our equipment is available to us 24/7. Wow. So whenever someone would like to use it, we could go down and set it up, or other officers are trained to use the equipment. Okay. So it's all about, I think each agency is different, and some agencies put more emphasis on training than others. However, we have a pretty vigorous training regimen at our agency.
Is this your first time using virtual reality?
Yes.
What did you think about it?
Interesting, different. Like you get completely immersed into this setting or situation that you're in, and it honestly feels very realistic. Where I'm listening to all the ambient noise around me. I'm trying to gain situational awareness by looking around. Like it's pretty cool, I would admit.
Do you see the value in training like this?
Yes, I definitely do. It's a quick way to have something that's cheap and effective in creating that type of stress that you would only find in some type of situation that you would need some type of like airsoft or UTM product to simulate, but without having to expend the amount of money that you would for something like that.
How does it compare to some of the other training opportunities that you've had, either at the precinct level, department level, state level, over the years of your involvement in law enforcement?
I mean, just using the product for I don't know, 10 minutes or so, I think it's pretty awesome. I wish I would have access to this more regularly. Like, I think that there's definitely a need and a use for this.
Do you see where some of the younger police officers would also see value in something like this? Folks that are a little bit more, technology-based, video game culture, smart screen culture, things like that?
Yeah, definitely. With the younger officers, I think that they would probably be more in sync with this immediately, as opposed to the older officers. And I would argue that it's the younger officers who would need this training more than the older ones who've already have experience in these types of stressful situations. So yeah, it fits right in with tailoring the product or with your audience, and your audience should be your newer officers.
For smaller departments that maybe only have 20 officers on staff, there's oftentimes not a chief of training. There's like just a marksmanship shooting coach or something like that. Has that been your experience, that like oftentimes within your average law enforcement community, the training piece just doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the time, or you don't have the expertise on staff to make it happen?
I would say that doesn't just apply with the smaller police departments, but the larger ones. My police department having over 400 officers, we a lot of times don't have the opportunity to train every officer with the amount of time that we would like, just because logistically it's difficult. So I would say that's a problem throughout American law enforcement.
Is this your first time using virtual reality?
It's not my first time, but it was actually the most interesting time. I've never used virtual reality with respect to police training, and it was very interesting. It seemed, on the realistic side than the virtual side. Sure. So it was actually pretty good.
Have you tried any of the other screen-based trainings?
I've tried I guess the VAT system and stuff like that. But
how did this compare?
This was actually better because I wasn't staring at a screen, and I could actually use the whole spectrum with being 360 degrees. Once I put the headgear on and it was, I guess, queued up, it was really easy for me to turn around and just get the whole environment. And that was actually really interesting. It was really cool.
You mentioned earlier that your department is actually looking for more technology-based training opportunities. Is that something that had come down from the chief level or something internally?
Yeah, actually, the chief, I'm the training coordinator, and the chief actually asked me to look into it. And he actually asked me to look into VAS systems and screen-based stuff, because we do have the room for that. But I mean, I think this would actually be something in this area would actually be more beneficial for many different reasons.
Our overall goal is to basically lower the incidence of police citizen violence. Do you see where this could do that?
I absolutely do, and I mean, one step further, I think that if we actually brought members of our community in to actually give them a little taste of what we would actually go through, it would actually help with some of our community policing, and that's actually what we're looking to do too. We're looking to have maybe some of our community experience this type of training through a citizen police academy.
Wow.
So.
That's cool.
You said that you're doing simulation training right now, right? Is there any other types of...
And then we just do we do all kinds of in-service training, but we don't do virtual reality stuff. We haven't been able to do it yet. So.
Yeah. And then do you guys have to go to a facility to do that, or what does the setup look like?
No, basically what we'll do is we'll have abandoned or not buildings not in use, and then that are going to be renovated or about to be knocked down, and then we'll go in, we'll do simulations in that building, and then we'll just build scenarios, notify the officer what the scenario is, and then let them go through. And
so you guys might be looking for something where you don't have to go to another building and
right.
actually just train in that.
The thing about simulations is it's really, really expensive. I don't want to say there's a lot of injuries involved, but there could be injuries involved. And, it's time consuming. There's a lot of logistics. Yeah. It's just, and then there's just a lot of stuff to consider. Where if you just put a headset on somebody, have them in a conference room with some of the furniture moved over, I mean, you could work out something pretty easily.
Yeah. Can you talk through the review mode? What did you think of that?
I thought it was really good. I thought
As a training officer, right?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. You could actually see from, an alternate view, not actually what your view was, but a third view or fourth view of what actually happened. Because basically that's what we see nowadays is somebody's out there with a camera and then there's that fourth view. So, I mean, it expands basically on reality itself and the situations that we're actually dealing with.